Well, I'm gonna make a video, and I hope people will understand what I'm trying to say, because it's really hard to try to articulate. I get in so many arguments with people sometimes online that actually agree with me, and it's just so hard to articulate this shit where it makes sense to to get a point across, because it sounds like I am disputing the person when I'm not really disputing them. I'm agreeing, but I'm trying to explain to them, I agree with your beliefs, but what you're doing is not conducive to the problem. It's you're falling into a trap, and you're falling into a manipulative trap, and that's what people do quite often. Um, Today, I had this discussion. It was about a lot of these things about these pedophilia issues, and this is what we're falling into, people. Years ago, Jeffrey Epstein went to jail or was in trouble the first time, not the time he just went in trouble. He was already in trouble. A lot of you people had never heard of Jeffrey Epstein, that just heard of him this time. A lot of people didn't have know anything about him, and they're talking about the sex island and other shit that he had. Now, the thing is he had this for many years. This is not the first time he was in trouble. Of course, now they're saying it's not the first time because they got this crap with Trump, that this bogus deal that's been debunked and all that with Trump. You have to, of course, go out of Google to see how the real results of that case was. But now they know whether it was something earlier, but they're not understanding where the real situation came from. So they do this Pizzagate thing, and they come up with these kind of absurd things with Pizzagate, and now everybody's going to get mad that believes in it. Yes, no, you think everything's a conspiracy theory. And here's the thing: is you didn't need the conspiracy theory back then. You had the real sex island and the crap with Bill Gates. You had that. That was real. You had that. You didn't need to have, well, not Bill Gates, I mean with Epstein. You didn't have to have the the whole Pizzagate situation. But when they make up these theories and these things that are a little bit off kilter, a little strange, what happens is it makes people who are talking about the real thing look like a moron or a conspiracy theorist. It builds up a lot of stuff where it looks like the person's lying. And that's what happens with these things now. You got to be careful what's going on. They're putting all these celebrity things, she's got on a leg monitor. Some of this stuff is absurd. And when you're looking at that, you're missing the real thing, the real push. And they're going to put a lot of absurd theories out there. And they like these kind of things. I can't explain to you how I know. I will tell you, I know I worked for someone who, I don't know how to explain it. They work with Ellen DeGeneres, not for her, but they work with her. They're actually an actor, and very early in their career, and did some favors. And when you talk to them about this stuff, like they're laughing at these theories and things people come up with. If you talk to these people, because they know what the reality is, they know that there is a lot of this shit in Hollywood with the upper echelons, like the guys, the people that are above them. They know that this goes on. And like most people don't know, and I've said this story many times, you can look this up. Congressional record. NAMBLA, which is the National Association of Man-Boy Love, which is a pedophilia organization, it's been around since the 70s. It didn't just come up now. If you look at when it started, it was the 70s this thing started. And it's a pedophilia organization. Well, if you look at the history of it, they had a guy named Harry Hay, and they call him the godfather of the gay rights movement. Well, Harry Hay was the godfather of the pedophilia websites. Well, not websites, but the organization which had websites also. But he was the godfather of that. And they had a thing they founded called the ILGA, which is an offshoot organization. Because what happened is they had to have an organization that didn't have connections to child issues, to pedophilia. And they took that organization, they went to Congress to get a United Nations status. And there's a vote on it, and you can look it up, it's public record. And I put that up a few times a year to show people. Harry Hay had would wear this thing. It says, "I walk with Nambla, Nambla walks with me." And you can look that statement up and you'll see a picture of this guy, Harry Hay, with this, like, what do you call that, breadboard thing? And it's talking about that. And Congress had a vote whether to give these people United Nations status. And they had a lot of controversy about it because they said, well, this is a pedophile organization. It's connected to them. It's like a sister organization of this thing. And you can look that up. They were talking about it. I think it was Jesse Helms and people like that talking about it. It's congressional record. And I've got a copy of the PDF that I could try to explain to people. This is no conspiracy theory. So this really happened. This was a vote. If you look up the ILGA and NAMBLA and all that kind of stuff, and you may need to go to DuckDuckGo instead of Google. You can get it on Google, but you get more details if you go to a site that's not trying to hide those things. But anyway, they did all that stuff. They have power within the UN. There's organizations that have power over what can be said or done with television. So all those things that they have are things most people don't know exist. They don't know that Congress had this situation. They don't know that the ILGA has a government is connection to the United Nations and a government connections. Just the United Nations has got a lot of things going on, and the United Nations has a disarmament plan, which I put up on my Facebook. It's got a disarmament plan that tells about taking small arms, getting rid of guns worldwide, getting rid of guns in America. Destroying gun culture. They have written documents. Is what they want to do. They want to take over the world, and that's what they want to take one world government. And they say that it's not like a conspiracy theory, but when you get people talking about one world government, Illuminati, and the Rothschilds and all this stuff, instead of that, you don't have to talk about Illuminati because it's the United Nations. You don't have to talk about these boogeymen, these characters, because there's real entity that really exists that says all this stuff. But if you get people talking about like the Illuminati and all these other organizations, then they look like a moron because it's like, well, these are conspiracy theories. So people don't, when you come to them with the real stuff and you say, here's a printed printout, here's what they say, then they think you're just another conspiracy theorist. They don't take you seriously and that's what's maybe got these guys over for so many years. So if you trust what these people say about how they're going to do it, and what they're going to do, it's like it's always, that's what they call them, progressives. Everything's progressive. They have a plan. They stick with the plan. A lot of my friends that voted for Bill Clinton, when I told them Bill Clinton was a Marxist, and how did I know this? There was no internet to look it up. There was no Twitter or Facebook and all that shit back then. There was none of that. So how did I know? I knew because I had studied what Hillary Clinton had believed in when he was when he was in Arkansas, things he had said and done. I knew people. I talked to people, looked at his history. Most of this stuff's public knowledge. There's people that say there were swingers. I was in the adult industry in a swing club. I was involved with the swinging industry and the adult industry and all that. A lot of people know that in the strip club industry and the adult film industry. I was connected to those people, and I was booked people, and I did these things for many years. So I would hear inside information from people about people's lifestyles that normally you wouldn't hear, and this is before the internet. So I did have that connection, and you say, oh, Bill and Hillary go to this, they went to they're swingers, they know these people. I heard the same thing about Roger Stone, and that he was a swinger. A lot of us in the adult industry hear all these things about politicians and things, and when we're in the industry, we actually cross paths with politicians and celebrities and people like that. They know each other that we're not supposed to tell you about. I do it all the time. And then when I work in the other industry I work in, which I work for a lot of high-end clients, which I can't discuss, I see a lot of their secrets. And so we see the secrets, but we can reveal what we learn from those secrets. We can't tell specifically how we know those things, but we see what people do in their personal life. We know their dirt because we're part of the world that they come into. Now, not that I'm not in the pedophilia world or any of that kind of thing. I was in the adult world. We didn't want that kind of thing there. We were about adults. Anybody who knows me, work with me, knows that we have no interest in any of that kind of stuff with children. We don't hurt children. We're all parents, and we're not into that. And we resist and hate that. But we are people who kind of know how they do this, because in our industry, we do have a lot of people who did come from child abuse or sexual abuse, and we do know a lot of these people. And a lot of people we love and we work with every day came from a lot of abusive situations. That doesn't mean we're abusing them. That just means we're all in this kind of together. Um, and we have to understand the mind of people who are abused because of being in that environment. That's just part of the environment. Everybody who's ever worked in the adult industry knows that that's part of it, that it exists that way. So that said, moving forward, you have to understand how they do these things. They progress these things forward. So a mistake people often make is a lot of these people are Neanderthal attitudes when they talk about how they're going to handle this and that won't happen. A lot of things have happened. Okay, a lot of things have happened and haven't went the way of the world has not become more conservative over the past 20, 30 years. And all this braggadocio talk about what they're going to do hasn't happened. You know, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, back when Bill Clinton's president, go back to Bill Clinton. They said a lot of things and they didn't do those things. Everything they did went towards more Marxism. So my father and grandfather, like I said, told me before, Walter Cronkite was a communist. Walter Cronkite admits to having these leanings and admits to trying to derail the Vietnam War and brags about it. We have people that brag about things that they would deny years ago. The same thing. Okay? So these people aren't going to just come out and say it. Hillary Clinton, for gay marriage, for example, Hillary Clinton used to say marriage between a man and a woman. Every time she was confronted about it, she's like, no, we're going to keep it that way. Every time Obama was confronted about it, he says no. And there's video, you go back and you see him saying marriage between a man and a woman. And, I believe in marriage between a man and a woman and da-da-da-da. But, we still have to treat gay people right. But he didn't say what he wanted. And you can't tell me that he just wanted that later and changed his mind. It was the goal. That was the goal. And the leftists know. They know that they have to lie. And they know, the leftists know that they have to lie to the people to get them to vote, to give them the power. If leftists came out and admitted everything that they want to do, most people, and they're doing it now, they're in mode now, blowing it up. But most of the time, most people wouldn't believe them. Or they wouldn't vote for them. Wouldn't vote for them. But the thing is now is like nothing matters. We don't make the rules anymore. For example, you can go out here and somebody can take a gun in their yard because people are knocking the fence down. As we see in St. Louis, they take the guns out and they got the weapons out and they should be in prison for 4 years and get felonies and get their weapons taken. Another guy has an AK. If somebody's carrying open carrying to rallies, okay, they're open carrying to gun rallies. They're terrorists. They're trash. But another guy, he's an AK. He walks up to a car, opens the door, fires at it. There's a controversy about whether he fired at it or opened the door with an AK. He had an AK at the vehicle and got shot at a protest. He's a hero. So what's the difference in this guy in a public street with an AK walking up to somebody's car and they're swarming a car of a guy who's just trying to drive through, and he's not trying to run over. You can see, obviously, the video's out there. He's not trying to run over anybody. He's just trying to get through the crowd. But that guy is a hero. But the guy who walking around his yard with a AR-15, A2, is a piece of garbage. What's the difference? It's his own property, his yard, but then this guy's in the public street, and he should be able to aim the gun at people and intimidate people with a firearm and have no retaliation. But that's what you got to understand. We don't make the rules anymore. They make the rules. We've let them. This media. We have listened to this bullshit media since the days of people like Walter Cronkite and all these other people, and we sit there and let them tell us. They lied to us. Dan Rather lied to us. They lied to us for so many years, and now the internet's lying. So everybody says, "Well, I don't watch the news. I'm on the internet." Well, the internet's doing the same thing. The internet's the same thing now, and all you guys think, "Well, I'm on this social media site. I'm on Twitter." It's proven. I mean, today you go look. They've proven Twitter is suppressing certain people's speech. Twitter's suppressing, so you only get one side. Twitter suppresses everything they don't agree with. So it's obvious you're not getting the full story. You never are. And so sit here and tell you that you don't watch the news, it makes you smart, and you don't do this and that. I'm so tired of people telling me how smart they are because they went to some college or they went to college to learn how to fold towels. And my ex-wife went to college to learn how to be that nurse thing where, you fold towels and you give people medicine crap, and that doesn't make you a goddamn surgeon. And people that do these things, they seem to think that they're very smart. because they went to a community college or whatever and got in the medical profession. Not putting those people down for what they do, but I'm putting them down. I'm saying don't try to tell me that makes you superior, have a superior intellect, because that's not what you went to school for. You go to school, you don't pay attention to politics. These people are people who watch TV or watch one source of news and that the mainstream crap, and they say, well, this is what it is. This guy's a bad guy. He's a Republican. He's a bad guy, and you can't vote for him, and he's ruining the country. And that's what they hear. And if you watch CNN, which I do, so I had a customer that's sitting there playing CNN all day. And if you watch CNN, it's just Trump hate. If you watch that thing, you would think Trump is the worst person in the fucking world, because it's obvious to somebody. It's haunting how much they hate the man that they're putting it out there. It's obvious that somebody's got an agenda. But if you like to feel that way, if you're caught up in an agenda, you're going to keep watching that shit. Whereas if you watch Fox, they do have different opinions on there. They don't have like the joke people in there. They're CNN, they put some weirdos. They'll say they're conservative. They still hate Trump. Everything they do has to go with their thing. So that said, you're watching all these things, and people aren't getting it. They're not. What they're doing. People on our side, conservatives, aren't getting it. You don't make the rules at this point because of taking in this shit, letting this stuff exist, letting it lie. Right now, we're letting things lie. So I'm going back. My whole point of this, I'm building this up to make you understand. Years of media controlling the narrative, years of people telling you what to think, and we didn't stop it. So in entertainment and all this stuff. If you watch entertainment in the past few years, it made men into a joke. The white fathers, if you watch any show with a white father, they're an idiot. I don't care if it's The Simpsons, Married with Children. The father's an idiot. He overeats, or he drinks too much, or he's stupid. The females are smart. Every movie now, the female's kicking everybody's ass. The guy's stupid. I've told you guys for years and years and years, if they show a movie that a man's good at his job, he's got to be flawed. If it's a good cop, if he's good at being a cop, he's an alcoholic, he's divorced, he's got to be flawed. Unless it's a black cop movie like Bad Boys, then the guy's great at everything because it's Will Smith and everything works. Everything he does, he's got all the ladies, can shoot the gun perfectly. They have in these movies, most of the time it's the white woman and the black man, or the black man comes in and he saves the day, and the white man is an idiot. And if there's movies where there's a different races of people, they always make the white guy out to be the villain, or he says the stupid Neanderthal type things, and the black man straightens him out, and he's there to shut this bigot Archie Bunker fucking guy up. And it's always there. They have in every commercial. And there's the thing of commercials where white guys are humiliated, and you can look, it's hundreds of commercials. Hundreds. If you go to YouTube, they've got compilations of just one commercial after another where the white guy is made into a damn cuck, a joke, an idiot. And they've been doing this for years with the entertainment industry. And they make these movies like Click, where the guy, there's this mantra, there's this thing that if a guy works hard, then he's not doing his family right. They're promoting everything's an excuse for a woman to cheat nowadays. If your husband is a good provider, he must not be good in bed, or he's neglecting you somehow. And it's they make up these mantras or these scripts for life where everything is a form of neglect. When a woman cheats on her husband, and you say, well, he must not be paying her attention, he's not good in bed, he did something, he didn't tell her she's pretty, he didn't do something. That is not true. There's lots of women who you can be given the most sexual attention, but women want attention or something. For example, they want attention from younger guys, or they want attention, some other type of attention, and they go get it, or they're into drugs. They get into drugs, they get into stuff. So there's a lot of reasons that these things happen. Okay, so moving further along, when you're dealing with this type of thing, you have to understand how they've built it up. Okay, they've built how they've built over the years, and look at what they're doing, so you can understand how things are going to go across now. So this is part 1. I'm going to have to end this video, but I want you to watch part 2, and I'm going to put part two in next, and then you'll see we're gonna go into what I'm talking about. But just remember, there's a great buildup. It's a buildup over time. It doesn't happen like that, and that's what you guys think is going to happen with these new things coming up. But I'm going to show you the history. So stay tuned and watch the history of how these things happen, so we can work on stopping them now instead of saying what the hell happened.